Get ready. It's time. Christina, Catherine, Lisa, Amy, and Lauren. Welcome to the Cimarelli Podcast.
Hey, I'm Christina.
I'm Catherine.
I'm Lisa.
I'm Amy.
I'm Lauren.
And we're Cimarelli.
Welcome back to
The Cimarelli Podcast.
I
I saw our camera guy go, yeah, you got it.
I'm so excited.
Here we are,
this.
episode 3.
Woo,
Hello,
three.
YouTube or Patreon 1 week before YouTube. Hello, guys.
Hey, guys.
Welcome back. And if this is your first time joining us, I want to tell you that the Cimarelli Podcast is a fun, uplifting podcast where we also focus a lot on self-improvement and personal growth. And we share juicy stories, discuss personal topics, and get vulnerable and real with you guys. Every other episode of this podcast is available only on Patreon. The patrons on Patreon actually fund this podcast. So thank you guys so much. And Kat's going to tell you what else you'll get if you join our Patreon.
So if you join our Patreon, there's different tier levels, but one of the main things you get is extra content that we don't post anywhere else. And we kind of just get to interact with you guys more. So we'll do like Q&As with your guys' questions. We'll share some of our tips and tricks on random topics that you guys might need like advice or just random tips in. We also do live streams that we only post on our Patreon. So it's like a smaller, more like kind of private live stream. You can Skype with us. We have a birthday club where you can get exclusive birthday merch as well as a birthday video. And yeah, those are some of the awesome rewards that we have only on Patreon.
You're definitely going to want to at least join for a month and see if you like it, because it is an awesome place with an awesome community. So for today's episode, the topic of conversation is going to be how not to lose yourself in a relationship, which
is written on the thing partially as lost yourself in a relationship.
Okay, I had a typo.
To lost yourself in a relationship.
Okay, I type really fast and I just don't fix it all the time. Okay, whatever. And
I was staring at that. I was like, Ariel. She's like, what? I was like,
whatever. We know what it means. Is this the one that everyone voted?
yeah.
On?
Yes.
Okay, so on
Yes.
Instagram, on our band Instagram,
Popular demand.
Cimarelli Band, you guys voted this as the number one of the topics we gave you that you wanted to see. So here we are delivering the number one topic you were all waiting for. But first, we start with our highs and lows of the week, where we tell you guys the high points and our low points of our weeks. So,
I guess I'll go first as always.
why don't you just embrace it?
I don't
Just
want to.
go first.
I didn't once, and it was really nice. My high was, it was my birthday recently. I had a great day. It was really nice. I was actually floored. I didn't really think I was going to get a lot of presents for some reason. I was kind of bracing myself for that. Like, oh yeah, like I'm getting older. People don't really give gifts anymore. And then I got all these nice presents, and I was like, like it was just, I was really like taken aback. It was a really good day. Not just the presents, but like the meaning of like, wow, all these people thought of me. That was so nice. That was just a great day. And my low is the last week as a whole has just been very jam-packed from maybe 2 weeks now, morning to night, of like always being around people. And there's been like a few times where I slip in alone time where, okay, I think of it like this. Your car is about to run out of gas, right? But instead of filling up the tank, you just put in like just enough to keep driving. So I get just enough alone time to keep driving, but it's not like recovering. So I like slip it in here and there when I can, but I'm still like catching up. But since I started feeling so crappy, I started like putting it in more. So I'm slowly catching up, but it is tough. I need a lot more alone. I need a lot of alone time. I'm realizing when I don't get it, I'm like,
You're realizing
wow.
that?
Just like how much it affects me when I don't get it over an extended period of time. I've never experienced that. I'm like, holy crap.
Oh, I get that.
It is my lifeblood.
Makes sense.
My high was I went on a nice walk with my friend, and we just had some deep conversation, catching up, which I really enjoy that. You know, I like to peel back the layers, you know. And then my low was kind of concerning, actually.
I'm scared.
I felt like I was gonna faint randomly in the middle of the day, And I never feel like that. And I think it might have been just because I didn't drink water or eat real food and I was eating candy corn.
Girl, yes. That
But it was
happens.
scary. I was like,
Oh.
oh my gosh. Like, I couldn't, like, stand very well. I had to, like, sit and eat and drink some water. It was scary.
That happened to me recently.
That's
Yep.
rough.
It's dehydration and
You have
too
low
much
blood
sugar.
pressure?
No.
That's a Cimarelli
God,
trait.
this is the only time that's ever
Trademark.
happened.
Oh.
It's not a normal thing.
Cap,
for
you don't
me.
think
that's why it was
not
weird.
eating real food, only eating candy corn and not drinking any
No,
water wouldn't
no,
make you feel like you're gonna faint?
But it's yeah.
I
something
can
in our
say
family.
yes, that is a thing.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just gonna do a random like small high. It's not gonna be like a big one. So small high of the week, because I feel like I can't think very well because I have a lot
Have a
going on in
child.
my life. So here's a small high from last night was that Nick, my husband, grilled me steak and chicken and made me baked sweet potatoes.
Sound like you're
Wow.
saying he grilled you like Christina.
Stop
Where
it.
were
We
you?
went over this last episode.
Did you eat them all together or were they separate meals?
I actually ate them together, and I brought
Wow.
them today to eat
Yes.
together. I don't know
Wow.
why I wanted the two different meats
Yeah, I was
in
gonna-
one
that's the
meal,
part.
but I enjoy it.
Steak
So,
is so good.
I just really excited about it. It was a great dinner, and I was really excited about it that he made the whole thing while I sat there and fed the baby. So I was like, and then should start with my low. Dang it. So my low, it was just like a normal. Actually, it's similar to what Lisa was saying. Just like had one of many mental breakdowns about being like the tank is empty, but I can't really refill it right now because my baby is so young. He needs me 24/7. Well, right now my mom's with him, but most of the time I'm with him. So
You're like, clingy.
yeah, I don't really get to refill the tank, but I just got to give him a lot right now. You know, it's going to pay off in the end. Got to put a lot in. So yeah, don't really get to refill the tank much.
That's what I'm realizing though. Sometimes all you can do is put in just enough to get by.
Yeah.
So just
that's what I'm
do
doing.
that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm
Just do
doing.
enough.
This is just a short amount of time, and he is like, I'm in a new world. So I just got to put a lot into him right now while he's in this
He's in a
scary
new
new
world.
world, you know?
Aw.
So what about you?
About me. So my high was that
me.
I was in the wedding of one of my best friends this weekend, and it was really beautiful to see her get married. I love
the
her
wedding.
a lot, and it was so great to support her. I just cried like all day because
Ah.
I just felt so emotional for her. I would say the low though was, I don't know if any of you guys relate to this if you've ever been a bridesmaid, but I feel like, I don't know if it's just me, but being a bridesmaid, I feel like I'm just in like people pleaser mode. And I'm like, oh yeah, whatever you want, better not be in the way. Like you just kind of get like, it's very draining. Like it's like you're excited to be there, and everyone was really nice. Like it was a really good group of bridesmaids too. But I just feel like I got really drained. And then on Monday, I just drove home from work after I got back, and I was like, I'm so overwhelmed. So I can't give any more. Giving it all. So I just felt like an empty vessel.
Relatable.
And I just, couldn't give any more. So I was sad.
Yikes.
It's kind of sad ending on the low. Would not recommend.
Yeah, start with your low, Amy.
Well,
It's
It's a
okay to be sad.
here's the thing. I hadn't thought of my low yet, but
Hey, me.
my high is a simple high for a simple man, which is I woke up this morning and I went for my walk that I had planned the night before. It wasn't spur of the moment. But I was
Okay.
like,
Thanks
okay,
for telling
That
us.
would be wild.
And
Going on a
what
walk, spur of
happens?
the moment.
thing. It was just really good.
Good.
Had a good walk.
I didn't listen to music. I just walked for a long
Oh,
time.
love a good
Wow.
And there was no one around, so I was like, good. Just, it's nice to have
like,
the world
good.
to yourself for a while.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Like 7 a.m. waking up in the morning, gotta be fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta go downstairs. Yeah.
Could always go downstairs.
Oh,
My low was
yes.
when it started lightly raining on the walk, but it wasn't too bad. But I had the fear of cold in me, but it didn't rain too bad,
Wait,
so
the
I didn't
fear
get
of
cold. A cold disease.
Oh,
you
I
know.
thought you meant of the
Because
weather.
if it's
Because it was
raining and it's
raining.
cold out,
It's not cold out though.
Yes,
It
it
was
was at 7 a.m.
waking up in the morning.
Yeah.
It was like
It's warm
60
now,
No,
degrees.
no, it's like the
No.
50s or high 40s
Yeah,
every
guys,
morning.
we are in fall.
Yeah,
Yeah.
come on,
We're in
Christina.
real fall.
So
Whoa.
I didn't get
I
rained
didn't go
on,
outside.
and it was good.
Love
Okay,
it,
that's
love
great.
it.
It's nice.
Well, thank you guys for sharing. We're gonna move on to our spicy advice Q&A. Take it away.
So this question is from Patreon. We get all of our questions for the podcast from our patrons. So this is from our patron, Sarah Michelle. She said, how to not overwork or burn yourself out.
Oh my gosh.
I've learned so much about this.
Great question.
I know. It sounds like you guys don't really know because those were your lows that you did.
No, that was the
Yikes.
past. I'm just kidding.
Well, I will say that we grew up with like our dad is really, really, really
Overworking?
strong, like
Hardworking.
I was gonna say strong work ethic, but definitely can be like workaholic, like really obsessed with work.
Yes.
So I think we kind of grew up in a environment where that was kind of the norm,
burnout.
and we had to kind of start to learn how to
What
not
are
take care of
appropriate work
ourselves.
hours?
Yeah, we had to realize
Yeah.
that self-care wasn't a dirty word. Like,
What?
I don't know.
Okay, I have come a long way in this from where I was. So before Lauren gives her guru tips, whatever. You almost fainted from candy corn the other day, so you are not.
I wasn't because I was burned out.
Because you're not a guru, though. Okay. Anyway.
Lauren's
Wait, I
just
kinda
a man.
thought if
Okay.
Lauren was an insect, she would be a praying mantis.
Oh,
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
I just had an image of Lauren like
You're
this.
right.
Wait, like in Kung Fu Panda?
As a
That's
praying
so
mantis.
You're
true.
so right.
There was a praying mantis on me in South Dakota. Anyway,
It was me.
it was Lauren.
Lauren.
Okay.
My tips are first, just like starting at the bottom. You need to think of what is realistic, which
Yes.
I've gotten better at, because I would say, like, right now I'm kind of like, throwing my self-care to the wayside, but I would say I have not taken on in a while an unrealistic workload of just like, okay, I'll do that. Okay, I'll do that. And never saying, oh, wait, someone else should do this. Or like, can we do this later? Like, sometimes it is just too much. And there's a line. You need to not cross that line of like, oh, okay, I can do this if I literally don't do anything else today and I don't shower and I don't spend any like 1 second with myself. If I just wake up and work and then go to sleep, basically. Oh yeah, oh, we need to eat. Forgot. Food. What is that? Oh, my work. Like, draw lines of what is realistic for yourself and then know those boundaries. So then as you're taking things on, school, work, whatever, sports, you can say, okay, this is the point where it's getting to too much. So let's cut everything above this and then just go with the essentials.
Oh, I was gonna say, sorry, you guys, you're gonna talk. So I was like, oh, like when you're like at the pass and then that person might be merging, you don't want to hit the car. That was me just now. So I would say you have to really get to the root of it and ask yourself, like, why is it that you have this inclination towards burnout? Like, what are you running from? What are you running towards? Are you trying to chase like success? Is that where you're placing your self-worth? Like, if you can get to the root of it, then you'll become a lot more aware of why you're doing it. So I was extremely, extremely burned out. I mean, I've gotten a lot better. I still have got a long way to go, but probably the height of my bad habit was in my early 20s. And that was because I was placing a lot of my identity in like nonprofit / like volunteer work. And I was just helping out with all these things, like especially at my church. And I was so tired. There's a picture of me with this little girl who I knew who was getting her first communion. And I just remember, like, I see that picture and I'm like, I look so exhausted because I truly was. And I realized I was placing my identity in volunteering. And I felt like, if I'm going to be a good person, I need to do all these things. But I never felt good enough. So it's like, ask yourself why and get to the root of it. And that's when you can start to untangle it.
Okay, so I'll just give a quick tip. So my tip is to recognize the warning signs. So you can actually stop yourself, check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's what I had to realize. Because I would just ignore it and be like, la, 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 la. And then suddenly I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm dead. So start to realize when you start to feel dead. This is going to come from like over time with experience and just paying it close attention. You're going to start to recognize, oh my gosh, wait, I think I'm getting burnt out. And you can like look back at other times you've had in your life and you can like see the signs that you were missing. And I want to tell you guys that we do have an episode that goes like into depth. Is that the word?
In depth.
In depth.
In
I'm
depth.
trying to think of
Not
into
into.
detail.
There you go.
And in depth. There we go. That's it. On this, it's actually our next episode and it's on Patreon only and it's amazing. It's such a good episode. It's about how to stop procrastinating and actually get things done and be productive. So we have a lot more tips where that came from. But if you really want to know about that, join our Patreon and watch that episode. It is so good. Anyone else have any tips you want to say?
Look, I never said I was a guru.
You said it with
put
your
that
face.
on me.
Oh.
I never said that.
Said it with
But
your
one
attitude.
of my greatest tips is setting time boundaries for yourself. So like if you work and you make your own hours, then just be like, okay, I'm not going to work before this time in the morning. I'm not going to work after this time at night. So set time boundaries. Or if it's like school that you're doing, like, okay, I need to finish my homework by this time. I'm not going to do it past that time at night because I'm going to go crazy. Or being like, okay, on Monday nights, I can't plan anything. Monday night is going to be my self-care night. And no matter what happens, not planning anything on Monday night. So like just making actual real time blocks, not just like, oh, I need to take care of myself. No. A real time, a real day, and sticking with it.
Do you want to throw it in? You don't have to, but you can.
I don't really know. I mean, honestly, everything you guys said is good. So
Thanks.
Thank you.
All
All right.
go with that.
Okay, cool.
So I would have said one of those.
We're going to jump into our topic of conversation, the one you guys all requested, which is how not to lose yourself in a relationship. So we're going to start with
What it means to lost yourself in a relationship.
what it means to lose yourself in a relationship.
Hey, I gotta say, sometimes when we're doing like our brainstorm for the episodes, we just get so excited. You know, the
like,
typing. I typed up the episodes in place of Christine the other day, and it was hard.
We just-
Because everyone's
It's
just like,
hard.
oh, I have this idea. Blah, 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 blah,
Yeah, you have to
and
type
you're
really fast.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Our brainstorms where we get all our great ideas, okay? But anyway,
Yeah.
so what does that actually mean, guys? What does it mean to lose yourself in a relationship? What does that look like?
Well, I have a good kind of gauge, which is something that I read in this amazing book called Boundaries in Relationships. And it is the concept
Ooh.
of being kidnapped by someone in your relationship, which
What?
means,
No, isn't it emotionally?
yes, emotionally kidnapped. Yes.
Yeah,
Well,
not
then
actually.
emotionally. But like the concept, the chapter is called Don't Get Kidnapped. So
Emotionally.
emotionally.
Okay, cool.
Yes. So here they say this girl was being separated from everything that was important to her values, her friends, her family, even her career. So what this means is when someone comes in and they take you away from the things that you value, from your friends, from your family, from your support
Hobbies.
network, from your hobbies, from your volunteering. And that is not really good. And also you can kidnap mentally your own self because you just
You
want
can
to
willingly
be,
throw those things away.
yes,
Yeah.
you're like bye, and all of a sudden you're like
Who am
Where am
I?
I?
Where'd all
go.
my stuff go?
yes.
That's a good visual. Okay, Kat, you have a story?
I had a real example of this. So when I first moved to a new town, I didn't have any friends that were my age for like the first year. And that I think that put me in a really vulnerable place where I was really like hungry.
Desperate.
Yeah, I was
Desperation.
desperate for a friend, like
Pure
I get it.
desperation.
So I met this girl and I was like, oh my gosh, she's so awesome. Like we have so much in common and we're so similar. And before I knew it, we just became like the same person. Like
What?
everyone would be like, oh my gosh, you guys are sisters. You're always together. Like,
What?
and
Always.
people would say that to us because we were literally together 24/7. We talked all day long. That was really bad. So I would just say, that's an example is when it's basically you don't know where you end and the other person begins. You're
like
just kind of
one,
like,
you're
yeah,
the same.
you
One
develop like,
blob.
and I do think that when you're in a relationship with like a romantic or a best friend, you do kind of pick up some of their sayings or their, you know, you do evolve a little bit. But if you're literally becoming like the same, like she wasn't religious and then she was going to church with me, like just kind of, which I don't know if that's like a natural thing.
You mean
know?
every single thing changes to be one?
Yeah, I developed all of her, like I liked all of her things and then she liked all of mine and then we just became like the same person. And it was very unhealthy. I didn't realize that in the moment, and looking back I was like, that was bad.
It wasn't like two unique individuals. It's like two people came together to be like this one thing that likes and does the same things and thinks the same things and believes
it feels
the same
good
things.
at first until you start to realize how bad it is, and then it
Like,
feels
where
really
did
bad.
I
'Cause
go?
it's not natural. There's going to be something inside you that's screaming like, this is not you. Like, what are you doing? But it might
Well,
take a
and
while
I
to come
think
out.
there was some things there where you realized you actually didn't agree, right? And it was like hurting your feelings, and you're like, wait, we're not the same. And she would say stuff, and you'd be like, what?
Yeah, I think there was just sort of this like, there's just like there becomes like a, what is the word, like territorial, where like you
like
become
resentment.
like I would want to hang out with someone else and then I could tell she was like upset about it.
Oh.
So it can become like, that's what I'm saying. That's just one example of how it can become so unhealthy when you don't
Gotcha.
have those boundaries. So.
Okay, so for all the people in relationships, and this goes for like friendships,
Friendships
as
too.
well as romantic
Yep.
relationships, how can you evaluate your relationship and see if you are losing yourself in the future or like right now or maybe in the past when you're thinking back?
This is something that I've realized. Just first of all, I realized that in life, if there's something you're scared to talk about someone and then you talk about it, you feel better. I was like, oh, that's so good. But then I realized in relationships, if there's something you're scared to talk about, like I would just compare it to my relationship with my actual best friends. And I was like, there's almost nothing I'm scared to talk about with them. Like there's a certain freedom. So if there's something you're scared to talk about there, then you're lacking a certain freedom to feel like, oh yeah, like I know a lot of people who are in relationships and there's like these basic things that they're like, oh, I don't know if I should say that. And I'm like, what? Like you need to say that. So what I'm saying is to the person they're with. So if there's something that's not that crazy, or even if it is crazy, but there's something that's really not that intense that you're really scared to bring up or say to this person, it's usually a sign that there's something off there. Could be a personal problem, could be something with them, but it's something that means you pretty much need to talk about that and figure it out. And that could be a sign that there's something off in your dynamic, that the communication isn't just flowing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I mean, kind of building on that, I actually did that with this friend, and I like talked to her and had a really honest conversation about the bad elements of our relationship, and we did end up fixing it and are actually really good friends to this day because we were able to step back.
And
so
usually that topic you're scared to talk about either can bring great growth and like things to the light, or it can bring the state of your relationship to the light. Like, oh wow, I talked about that thing I was scared of and it came true. They were friggin' rude. That says something about them, probably not necessarily about you. You got to reflect.
Yeah. Another sign that's pretty like strong is if you basically stop hanging out with all of your other friends and your family, you're kind of like putting all your eggs in one basket.
I kind of did this with my ex-boyfriend.
I think when you're young, I think when you're younger and
it's easier to do this.
You see this on like movies or TV, like, and I'm thinking more of like friendship where it's like,
there's always that episode in the Disney
best
show.
Friend. It's like you spend all your time with your best friend and it's this one person. It's like, I actually don't know if that's really the best thing. Like now that I'm a little bit older, I feel like it's good to have multiple close friends. Like even if you're an introvert, like I feel like introverts, you don't have like a million friends, but like just a couple, like 2 or 3 different friends, because you're not going to get everything. Even if it's like your partner and you're married, like you're not going to get everything from that person. I don't care how great they are. They're not going to meet all of your needs. Because one person can.
If you're only with one person, you're building an echo chamber of you too. And that is not healthy. You need other perspectives. A good way to like kind of measure this would literally be think back with like, or just start now. If you're like wondering, you're like, am I spending too much time with them? I don't know. Make a chart and be like, okay, this week, how many times have I hung out with them? 7 times? 9 times? There's only 7 days in this week. How have we hung out 9 times?
Who else did I see in the week?
Yeah, did I hang out with any of my friends?
Did I hang out with myself?
Maybe I have a half mark for
did
that.
I hang out with myself?
Yeah.
Where are my hobbies at? Where's my family at?
Yeah, when I was first dating Max, I remember I had a kind of not generic, but like vague chart in my head of like, there's 7 nights in the week, and I want to try to spend like 3 of them with Max because we're dating, we're building a relationship. Yeah. It's my primary relationship. So 3 with Max, 2 with myself, which a lot of times I would just do errands and chores and didn't really do that much self-care, but it's another topic for another day. And then 2 nights with different friends. So I'd probably be hanging out with about 2 of my friends every week. And multiple of my friends were like, you are so good about keeping up our relationship even when you were dating, which I really appreciated that a lot. So that was like my vague chart in my mind.
And I think like we were saying before, look at what is happening with like your hobbies and the things that you like, things you used to do, things you want to do. Did they just become like you and the other person do everything the same together?
It's love all the same.
This. Oh, yeah, it's like all we.
Your dreams and ambitions, did you lose them?
It's a good question. I also think there's a lot of different ways you can lose yourself. And for instance, like with my ex-boyfriend, I didn't lose myself in the way of like, I changed my beliefs kind of around to his, or I like let go all these things that meant a lot to me. That didn't happen at all. But it was more like I stopped hanging out with my friends a lot, and I only hung out with him, really. So I don't know how you would categorize that, but that was a different way that I kind of was losing myself.
It's just like you lost your time.
It's a form of isolation, I feel like.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's a lot of different ways you can do this. So that's what I did with him. And afterwards I was like, whoa, I haven't been hanging out with my friends. I realized when we broke up, I was like, wait, who am I going to talk to? I haven't been talking to my friends, and now I want to talk to someone about the breakup, and I'm not going to talk to him about the breakup. Who am I going to talk to about the breakup? And then after that moment, I made the decision, like, I'm never doing that again. I am never doing that again. And when I got in a relationship with Nick, I was like really intense about making sure I was still hanging out with like my sisters, my friends, everyone, to the point where sometimes Nick was like, I feel like we don't talk enough. And I was like, oh, I went a little overboard. So then I went to a more healthy place. So the problem, like a really like foundational problem here, can really be that you don't have a strong sense of self in the first place. We were all saying this as we were brainstorming.
Yeah.
So to solve that problem, because even if you don't have that person who you're losing yourself in, if you don't have a strong sense of self, you still have like lost yourself, right?
Yeah.
So what are some tips we have on how to build a stronger sense of self in the first place?
This is a really important question.
I think that one of the most important things that we often overlook is to carve out intentional time to be with yourself and get to know yourself just like you would with a friend. That's definitely something that we often ignore. Like watching Netflix is not intentional time getting to know yourself and being with yourself. You're with yourself, but you're not being with yourself, like with your emotions and your thoughts.
I would say you're by yourself, but you're not with yourself.
Yeah. You're by yourself,
true.
but you're kind of like ignoring yourself. Like if you were with a friend and you were both just watching Netflix, you didn't say a word to them, you didn't ask them like how their day was, how they're feeling, what's going on in their life. That's kind of what we do to ourselves. We're like, I don't want to think about my day. I'm not going to think about my feelings. I don't care to ask myself anything about what's going on. I'm just going to ignore myself and zone out all day and not have a conversation with myself, right?
Yeah, I want to add to that. I think Demi Lovato was the one who said, I don't remember where she said this, but it was like, she was saying how journaling is so powerful. And like, she said something about like, there's something so powerful about simply taking the time to process your day. So like, I always thought, oh, well, what am I going to journal about? It's just a normal day. Like, I don't really have anything to say. But even just journaling for 5 to 10 minutes and being like, what happened today? How did I feel about it? That can be a really powerful way of getting to know yourself a little bit at a time.
That should actually happen every day. Like it really should happen every day.
And then you can see, oh, I hung out with my boyfriend today. Oh, I hung out with my boyfriend again today. Oh, I hung out with my boyfriend today. Oh, again.
You know, people are like, OMG, let's play 20 questions. Ask yourself 20 questions.
Yes.
Like, what's your favorite color?
What is it?
She's right.
If you don't know the answer to that, you got some work to do. Stop. She loves saying that. Another strategy, like we were talking about this the other day, people when you say like, oh, you want to get dinner? Someone's like, I don't know what I want. You know, like it's hard to pick. Sometimes it's easier to figure out what you like by figuring out what you don't like. For me, oh my gosh, yes. I can tell you in a heartbeat what I do not want for dinner or what I do not want to wear or where I do not want to be. But I don't know if I can say where I really want to be right now. And sometimes it's just because you're in more of an open mood. But anyway, sometimes it helps to just make a list of things you don't like, types of people you don't like, places you don't like, situations you don't like. And then it's easy to look at the opposite of those things, and that's usually a list of things that you like. Another
smart.
Thank you. I know, just kidding. Another way is ask yourself, oh my gosh, sorry, my nose is going crazy. It's so itchy.
Keep that in, please.
Thank you. Ask yourself what you need and how you can get more of it. Ooh. And this is another thing that can work backwards, where you look at what you have too much of right now. Like, I have way too much work. Okay, I need less work. I have not enough alone time. I need alone time. I haven't been having a full healthy meal for each thing. Sometimes I'm grabbing random crap. Okay, I need more like sit down, healthy meals, spend some time with myself. Figure out what you need in your life and say, I can and will be the person who will get this. I have my own back. I will get this for myself. And that builds like trust with yourself.
Love that.
I've done this with Nick before where where we talk through like what he needs more, and he's like realized like, oh, he's working too much, and he's like, how? I was like, okay, what could you do? How could you work less? Okay, maybe you can delegate this. Maybe you could work on this at a different time. You need to put boundaries in place, whatever. And then he realized like he really needs exercise and like being outdoors in his life. And sometimes like going on drives alone, those things like really help him recharge. So putting those in was such a game changer for him because he was like pretty burnt out without doing those things. So that's a great exercise.
Yeah, and sometimes a little bit goes a long way.
Oh yeah.
Like
True.
you just need a little bit
That's
of
true.
that time to yourself. It's not, I don't have 3 hours. We'll just take 15 minutes.
That's so true.
Also, our next one is something that we are very passionate about, and all of our friends like kind of joke about this. They're like, "Oh
They
yeah,
know.
you guys are obsessed with personality
We are.
types." They literally, Lauren, it's true though.
Our entire lives is a case study on it. Okay,
Yeah,
that's
we've,
all we do.
We've probably spent, I don't know, dozens, hundreds, I don't know how many
Years and
hours
years.
talking about
Thousands
these
of
things.
Hundreds
hours.
of years.
Probably
So
thousands
many
of
hours.
hours talking about this
10,000
personality types. So I would say our favorites would be the Myers-Briggs or the Enneagram. Do we like any other
Putting them
ones?
together is really great.
Birth order psychology.
That's
Putting them
those
all
three.
together.
Yeah, it
Amazing.
doesn't mean you have to like, because I feel like people get annoyed, like, we can't just put people in boxes. Yes, that is right. You
That's
can't
true.
put people in boxes, but it can be a nice starting place to kind of learn different types. And even if you have no idea what you are, just be like, the 8 is like a dominant, powerful, kind of more bossy type. That's not really me. Oh, the 9, peacekeeper. I'm kind of a peacekeeper, but I also really like to help out. Am I a 2? Like, it's just, it gets you kind of thinking in a
Yes.
way of like,
So
About like, who am I?
yeah, who am I?
Yeah.
And like process of elimination. Like,
Love
I
it.
love conflict. I hate conflict. There's so many different elements that are, you probably would have never thought to like ask yourself, who am I in this regard?
Yeah. It's a really good way to understand yourself. I'm pulling up a picture because my point is boundaries. I love boundaries. Don't use them as much as I should, but I love the concept.
Yeah.
You will one day.
My
Lauren.
favorite,
Yeah.
Christine.
You love boundaries. I'm like,
I
when?
love
You
reading
said
about
when?
them. I love
Oh.
reading
Hey,
about
Amy
them.
always talks about, she loves like the boundaries book.
She's
The
getting
concept,
there.
Talking
she's
about
getting there.
boundaries.
Yes.
Hey, I think you've got pretty good
I
boundaries.
have gotten better.
Yeah, you
I
are.
have very
You
strict
are getting
boundaries
better.
in some ways,
It's true.
not in other ways.
One day she'll have the best
I would
boundaries.
argue most people struggle with boundaries.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
Very
Yeah.
difficult.
It is
Yeah.
a universal
everyone does in
experience.
some
Well, what
way.
are they, Amy? Tell us.
So there are like 5 different types of boundaries. I found this in my therapy notebook because you got to write down what you're learning.
True.
Oh,
So
love
number
it.
1,
Good tip.
I don't know what, there's not really an order. I just wrote them down. We have emotional boundaries. So it's like, what are you feeling? How are people making you feel around you? You got to have boundaries in that regard.
What do you accept and what do you not
Yes.
accept emotionally?
Yes.
Ooh.
Next, we have intellectual boundaries, which are your opinions, your beliefs, your values. So it's like, this is what I believe, and I can listen to other things about it, and I'm going to look into it, but I'm not going to let people change that for me. I'm going
Yes.
to change it.
Oh, that's a
if
good
I
one.
Change it.
believe that. If I believe something different, I'm going
Oh.
to choose to believe something different. If I don't, no one's going to take
I
my
won't be
beliefs from
bullied
me.
into it.
Mhm.
Yes. Next one, we have time boundaries, which is like
Ooh,
your
which
time.
band?
Is
I have
this
to go to
person-
bed.
Yeah.
Yes.
I have to leave at 8.
I'm a fan of this.
Like, you don't need to hang out from 6 to 10 p.m.
If
You
you
can
don't
hang out
want
from
to.
6 until 8, you know?
Mhm.
Have time for yourself. Like, look at your boundaries. Where is your time going? It's like the budgeting thing. You need to give every dollar a name. You give that. You need to give every hour a name.
That is so
Mm.
true.
Or they're all going to go, bye. See you
True.
later. And you're going to be like, wow, how did I get here? And then our next category is material boundaries. These are things that you own materially.
Like,
your house,
don't touch
your
my
car,
thing.
your
Don't give away your
clothes,
car. guys.
Oh yeah.
your like I mean belongings, possessions, your money.
Is it like,
Like-
what does that mean? Is it like this is my thing and you're not going to ruin it? Like don't let people walk all
Yes,
over
exactly.
your
Yeah.
things.
Like
Trash
this
your
is
things?
my chair. It's not my
I have
chair.
extremely strong
Lisa has
material
the
boundaries.
strongest.
I've let my friend drive my car this week, like probably 5 or 6 times. That's more than anyone has driven my car in my life.
yeah.
I don't know if anyone's ever driven my car before.
yes.
It's like you're
I
not going to
have-
drive my car.
I
You-
drove it.
When? Oh, you did. Lauren
Where
drove
I
my
know
car.
I really don't like people driving my car either. I
Yeah,
don't care how
that's
good of a
fine.
driver they are.
That's
What's a
fine.
bad
So
what's
rare.
a bad example of that one would be
if you were letting everyone drive your car,
if
you
you're
don't want
letting-
them
you don't
to.
want them
you're like
to.
I don't want to let them. They keep leaving trash in my car, but it's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
you can take
Yeah,
my car.
let's say like your like sister, you know, never gives back your clothing. I'm talking about Danny. And like
Danny's famous for this.
it's like
Yeah,
if you
she's
give her a
famous for this.
shirt, you're not gonna see it again. So what are your boundaries
You're
on
not.
that shirt?
You'll see it in a
Don't
few
give
years in a house that
No
she's
giving.
moved like 3 times. You're like, how'd this
Yes,
even get here?
exactly.
Oh,
It'll end
I
up in
gotta-
our parents' laundry room somehow, some way.
I got a common one that a lot of my friends have told me, which is their roommates eating their food and not
What?
like
I
asking
mean, I do
first.
that to Lauren, but not
And-
often.
And then, some
do that to
some
me
people
too.
don't care, but if you care, you gotta say something. That person
Yes.
is is stepping over your material.
Write
True.
your name. And then our last one is physical boundaries, which is a lot of different things, like anything that concerns you physically.
Like, you cannot put your hand on me. You
No
can't.
thanks. I don't want to hug.
You can't.
Yes, I don't want to
I
hug
don't
you.
feel
Sorry.
like hugging you right now.
Or you cannot, like, basically
What you're
any kind of
comfortable with.
physical boundaries. What you're comfortable with physically in any certain
Love that.
regard.
You know what? That's like
Love
I think
that.
that's one blessing of coronavirus is it's really helped people with their physical boundaries to be
Yes.
like, I'm only comfortable with an elbow 5.
Yeah, because now people ask.
yeah,
People
what
actually
are you
do ask
comfortable
now.
with? Yeah.
Yeah, because I'm sorry, I don't want you randomly hugging me. You are
No.
like an old man. Get away from me.
Don't
Or
need it.
even someone your age.
Or-
And I
yeah.
don't want them to hug
Sometimes
you.
No,
I
no.
don't want to hug my friends. It's not a personal problem. I'm just like,
Don't
not
feel
really
like
feeling it today.
Exactly.
Okay, love that. So go through those different types of boundaries and figure out what are yours, and just observe yourself, and you'll learn more throughout your life as well. How can we prevent ourselves from losing ourselves in a relationship if we realize it's happening right now?
Oof.
What should we do?
Okay, I would say you gotta get it right from the start so you don't start building a weird pattern and a weird dynamic. Like, so for me, when I notice myself like clinging to someone, I'm like, OMG, like I need to talk to them every day, or like, oh, I need them to make me feel good about myself. I notice that feeling, that like reaching, like
Oh.
aching feeling, and I'm like, no.
Is that a warning sign?
No. Yes, the warning sign is when I feel that like ache, like,
Oh.
I
Desperation.
need them. No. I realize that
That's never
and take a
good.
step back. I don't talk to them that day. Well, maybe not.
Like,
Like,
try
I'm not
not
going to
to.
talk to them on the phone for 4 hours. Maybe I'll just talk to them for like 30 minutes. And I specifically try to like take a step back, take time for myself when I notice myself wanting to do the opposite.
Ooh.
Girl.
I would say another thing, it's kind of like a sign it's happening, so like be aware of this and just don't let this happen if it is if you kind of start to change your own like preferences due to that person. So an example would be when I was like, I had this with a couple different friendships, but like, I don't know why. I think it was just because I was so easygoing, but I would have a lot of friends that were very, very critical, and they would like kind of like, they would make a comment about something I wore that wasn't very nice, or like a song that I played that they didn't like. And so I'd be like, oh, when I'm around them, like I can't wear this, or I can't,
Oh.
Your
I can't-
material boundaries.
I can't play this song. Like, so it's like you stop doing the things that you like in front of that person because you're afraid of them not liking it. And you're slowly starting to change yourself, and it just will drive you insane, and you won't be happy with yourself after a while. You're just suppressing what you love.
Another concept from this book, Boundaries in Dating. I cannot recommend it highly enough. Every child I have, when they're like 15, they're all reading this book. I'll be like, look, you read it,
Do
you
a book
learn
report on it.
You love it, would never list it, could never list it. It is
Do
not
not list
a
it.
flop, it is a flip. Anyway,
Yes.
So another concept, they call it practicing safe dating, which was in the kidnapping chapter. Which means you stay in contact with your outside sources, people, like your family, your friends, people that know you very well. And they can say, I thought you liked artichoke. Why are you pretending that you don't like artichoke?
How would you do that to artichokes?
Exactly. Like,
best.
oh, I haven't seen you in like a month. I mean, that's a little sketchy. Are you okay in this relationship, Debbie? That was the name in the chapter they were
Debbie?
using. Like, Debbie has been kidnapped by Nick
Poor Debbie.
emotionally. And then her friends helped her get back.
Oh,
So you got to check in with your outside sources and practice safe dating.
And then you did mention this one earlier. So you did say about making a list of how often you hang out with
Yeah.
them
Yes!
versus other people.
Because
Great.
it's true.
That's a great
Honestly,
way
my
to
number
check.
one fear is hanging out with someone every day. I can't do
Well,
I
you might have to
did
get over
that.
that if you get married.
I
Oh,
did,
no.
yeah. I did that in the beginning. Actually, a lot of the early part of my relationship, like it just went on and on of like seeing him every single day. And at first, I just loved it. I was like, it's my first relationship, whatever. It always happens. I don't care. But then time went by, and I was like, I am getting exhausted because I had a busy life, and it was like, there's no time for me now. I think I had a breakdown to you of like, I don't know what to do. And it's like, you can't see someone every day. That's not enough. You have no time for yourself. I was like, I know. And then I had to undo that, and I was like, I need time alone tonight.
Good.
And then it was so good.
Love it.
Learning that I could do that, I was like, wow, you're a soldier.
Could never list it.
Could
Always
never
love
list it. Yeah.
Something you can do if you don't have very much self-control is to force yourself to spend time away from them by booking actual things like classes or clubs or whatever, things you're going to do on specific nights of the week so that you can't hang out with them. You're like, sorry, I have a Pilates class. Sorry, I have Zumba. Sorry, whatever. Like, you actually have something planned. Plan things so that you are forced to actually do those plans and not hang out with the person.
This is really good too, because then you're like learning a new skill or something and your life is actually becoming enriched. You're not just like, ooh, I got to get away from him. You're like, oh wow, I'm spending time with myself.
Yes, plan things with outside sources, because you're gonna be like, oh, if you're trying to cancel on them to hang out with your boy, you're gonna be like, oh, yikes.
Yeah, that's really tangible.
And then another thing is making time for yourself to hang out with yourself, which we touched on earlier. But like certain things you can do is like going for a walk with yourself.
Love a walk.
Going for a drive. We love a good country drive. Drive out to the country. Just, look at
Take
the
it all in.
big sky country.
What?
You probably don't live in Montana, but just like look at nature, think about things, look at the stars, just like make sure maybe like once a week you take time, like I was saying, maybe Monday night, every Monday, you take time to spend like an hour with yourself.
Love it, love it, love it. So as we wrap up the topic of conversation, don't worry, we have 2 other segments coming. But as we wrap this up, I think one of the main points I want to get across here is that if you can't be your authentic self in a relationship, it's not worth it to be in that relationship. Change the goal from having a partner so that you're not alone and making sure you have someone. Change the goal from that to realizing you are never alone. You're with yourself. You're with God. That matters. Don't act like you being with yourself means nothing. And that you want to find a partner who appreciates the authentic and genuine you. That is a better that's a better direction to go in than just like, I don't want to be alone. I think if you change that, you have a lot less chance of losing yourself.
And someone who respects your boundaries and has their own boundaries. They don't want to emotionally kidnap you because they're like, I have my own life. I don't want to kidnap someone. Let's just not kidnap each other and live our lives.
Yeah.
Amen.
I got things booked into my week. I got Pilates,
Yeah.
They got Pilates.
Yeah, after being in multiple relationships where like friendships more, that I felt like I lost myself and I didn't have boundaries and I was really like criticized too. It was like a weird combo. I just kind of realized that I'm just, too old for that. I think at this point I'm at the place where I feel like just having only relationships where you can completely relax and be yourself. And that means like, not just that you're afraid of being criticized, but also like you could say like, hey, I'm really sorry, but I'm really tired. I don't really want to hang out anymore tonight or whatever. Not that you're canceling on them 24/7, but just like, every once in a while you might need some time to yourself and they understand. So just being able to relax and be yourself and not be constantly afraid that you're like going to be criticized or that's just very important in a relationship.
Yes.
Love it, love it, love it.
Could never list it.
All right. We're gonna move on to the bag of random. Now, Lisa, who's been sneaking goldfish, trying to eat quietly over
I
there.
can't even eat
Crunch,
goldfish.
crunch,
I'm
crunch.
sad about it.
She's going to open up the bag of random.
Let me know if you heard me crunching. Okay.
Crunch on my
Turn it up in the editing so everyone knows.
Stop. The ballad of the salad. The bag of random. This week's segment is, what would you do? If someone is a really great friend when you're with them, but they're really unreliable and hard to get a hold of and they cancel a lot, what would you do?
I have a friend like
I have a friend like this.
Unfriend. I can't do it. Nope.
I actually don't really mind because I have a lot of friends. Like, okay, first of all, it just depends. Are you already good friends? Like, have you been able to be close? Like, have you been able to get a hold of them a bunch of times and have a good conversation? You know what I mean? Like,
No, we just said that they're unreliable. They keep canceling on you.
I'm saying I have some people where, like, when we hang out, it's amazing.
Relatable.
Sometimes it's just hard to get with them.
Same.
So I really don't mind, and I just count them as a friend that I catch up with here and there. And, like, because those talks are so worth it to me. It's like, I don't need to see you all the time. I don't need to know every detail of your life. But if you are randomly like, hey, let's go on a walk, I'm like, I will make time for that walk because that'll be a great walk.
That's literally what I was going to say.
Except for when you
Same
make
thing.
time for the walk and then they cancel on you.
Yeah, that's
no. I was gonna say the same thing as Lisa. I've been through the same experience, and I agree. Like, I'm not like, oh, cut him out. I'll keep him in. But if you realize, like, I cannot do this, cut them
Yeah.
out. But one of my friends, she's like so awesome, but she's just so flaky. But when we do hang out, it's so great that I mean, I should probably have a conversation. This is what you should really do. Have a conversation with the person about what the heck is going on. I don't know if that will ever change with her because it's kind of like,
Some
Well,
people, it's just how they are.
Yeah.
This
It's
is
kinda like
my
how she
opinion
is.
is they have a very small tank, so they can only see you like once every 6 months or something. Like if they
How is
if
that
it's
a friend?
or
she
not
just can't
6
commit
months,
to
but-
plan. She's like always making different
Oh.
plans. And like,
well, for me, it's like if you haven't seen them in a while, then they're like, "Hey, we should FaceTime or something," because it's been a while, and then they
Gotcha.
do it because it's been a while. But if you try to do things more regularly, they're like, "Nah," and they lose it. So you just can't do it regularly.
what would you
but-
guys do?
My therapist actually just told me this the other day. She said, like, you need to know what your boundaries are in relationships and apply them universally. And I just kind of realized, like, I think everyone's different with like what their threshold is or what you can
Yeah.
tolerate. For me personally, I don't really like it when someone's always canceling or like just very like.
You don't like it, really?
I love it.
For me personally, I can't really handle that. And
No.
I can't.
maybe like if they cancel every once in a while,
Yeah.
or if they cancel and say, "Hey, I'm really sorry, something came up. Can you do next week?" Like, and they
Yeah.
actually choose a day, and they're not just like somewhere in the wind. Like, so I don't know. I just think of relationships as like kind of a tennis match, and you kind of need to be passing the ball back and forth. And if you're constantly throwing the ball, it drops. You're running over to the other side of the court, picking it up, throwing it back to yourself, throwing it back to them. That's just a lot of work. And I
True.
just don't really think
True.
I don't know that is a friendship. And I do, same kind of like Lisa, I have a couple of those people that I'll talk to like maybe once a year. And we have a great conversation once a year. And I love them. But it's just, I wouldn't put that as like Shauna, my favorite author, Shauna Mequist. She calls it your home team, which are like those close people that you actually see and talk to on a regular basis. So it's just a different, we're even not talking about like tiers of friends. Like it's a different tier of
There's
friends.
Okay, I
Tears.
think my issue with it is that I really value like being honest and communicating. Those type of people, they can't just say, "Hey, I can't hang out," or like, "Oh,
Yes.
this." When you can't like just tell me the real truth, then I just like
Yeah.
I can't respect it because I do that so much that it's just like I
That
can't.
makes sense.
I don't.
Yeah,
like
and
it.
they always cancel at the last possible minute.
Yes,
Oh,
it's like,
so
bro, it's
annoying.
okay to
Then.
just tell me you didn't want to hang.
I hate it basically. So
Used
I
to
can't
love it.
do it.
So you were on the same team.
I used to love it, would never listen. Now I would always list it.
Oh, good.
Because
Good.
I've had like a best friend in my life who literally was that. So we would hang out, but then she wouldn't tell me when we wouldn't hang out. And then she would answer her phone for days afterwards. And
Oh
be
my
like,
gosh.
what is wrong? Are you
Wild.
on the run? Like I need.
On the run.
And we had multiple conversations until literally we were having our last conversation. We were supposed to meet up. Never said anything. Never met up. Never spoke again. It's been years.
Oh,
But it's
my
like
gosh.
and then there's also like weird like fringe people, and people love to do this, that love to make themselves your best friend right when they meet you. They're like,
Oh, weird.
yeah, girl, blah, blah. And then you
They
never see
disappear.
them again, and you see them on Instagram, hang out with people, but then
But
you're
it
like,
ain't you.
you can never hang out with me, but you can hang out with these other people all the time. Okay, whatever. I guess we're just not gonna be friends. It's okay.
Okay, that reminds me of something that our aunt told me once. She said, fast friends are bad friends. People that like jump in really quick and are like, "Oh my gosh, we're best friends." It's
That
usually like a
wasn't
bad
really the
sign.
question.
So
though.
yeah, I'm just saying. Would always
Yeah, we
This
just
is
want to know
a
what you
side
would do.
would list it now. Unfortunately, I'd have conversation, and then
Okay.
they'd probably ditch me again, and then it would be done.
All right, that's what we would all do. So we're going to move on to our last segment, Sister Spotlight, where each of us gets the spotlight. No, where one of us gets a spotlight each week. That's what I meant to say. And we have Lauren's Take It Real with Christina, Sappy Thoughts with Kath, Amy's Current Crisis, and Exposing Lisa's Weird Past. And this week, the spotlight is on Amy's Current Crisis.
Crisis.
Oh yes.
Oh,
I was telling this story.
Wait, can I do an intro already? Amy's current crisis.
Yes.
Oh my God.
I love it.
I
So
just
I
thought
was
of that.
telling this story the other day. Was it to you?
Mhm.
It was so good. Okay.
oh no.
So basically,
Oh
I'm
no.
so ready.
this is about the one and only time, the singular occurrence. Maybe I shouldn't be like hype that up so much, but the singular occurrence thus far that I've ever gotten is speeding ticket.
Uh-oh.
So your girl doesn't really speed, but low key.
Yeah, I'm
but
pretty
not too
surprised.
much. Well,
That you would speak.
Well, no, sometimes also the speed limit changes and you weren't aware
and
of it.
this is okay.
But Amy
Here's
moves
the
pretty
story.
fast, so maybe I'm not surprised.
I do. And then when you listen to
And she
some
puts
songs,
on music and she's like, yeah, I'm going
Amy listens to music louder than anyone you've ever known in the car.
ever. It's
Yes,
great.
you can hear it like anywhere you are.
She pulls up.
Anywhere,
I hear
any
her
other
from.
state, other
I hear her
country.
from inside the house.
Yeah, you can hear it.
It's amazing. I love it. Anyway, so this was August of 2016. I was a young lad. So your girl driving home from volunteering, may I add, not to make myself sound like a good person. And then I'm driving. I shouldn't have been doing this, but I was practicing for a song that we were recording. So I was singing the same part. So I wasn't focused on driving. It was one of these roads that goes from 55 to 40 randomly. Your girl,
They'll get
because
you.
she was focused on freaking practicing this song for recording, I drove right into a speed trap, basically. The cop was literally sitting there. And I
Slow down.
didn't notice because I was practicing. So that I get pulled over. And it was, let me tell you, horrifying. I was like, what the heck? And he was like, oh, first of all, definitely I'm crying, 100%, because I don't do things that are, bending any rule or breaking any rule. I just don't really do those things usually. And I was horrified. And the guy comes over, I'm crying. I don't really remember what happened, but he's like, you were going, I remember 56 and a 40. And I was like, 56? Are you kidding me? 56. Are you kidding me?
Are you kidding me?
Like, why? So then
are we doing that? Oh my
I
god.
panicked in my deepest soul. My whole alignment, my core chi was just gone. It was off. My, what is that called? The vibe thing?
Your aura?
That.
The vibe
just disintegrated. I got a speeding ticket.